San Diego. This is our Friday session, Friday afternoon session about the GEM Fellowship. We're really excited to host this. My name is Edgar Beas. I am in Diversity Outreach and Recruitment for the Office of Outreach, Access, Recruitment, and Retention and the University of California, San Diego. Really excited to have a guest speaker from the National GEM Consortium who is going to talk to you about the GEM Fellowship. There's a great opportunity for those that are interested in going into a STEM graduate program. Brendan is going to go ahead and share with us all amazing information about this fellowship and everything that you need to know in order to apply to this fellowship. So I'd like to welcome again Brennan Marcano into the room and let you go ahead and take on and share with us great information. We're going to go ahead and do some Q&A at the end. And so feel free to please send your questions through the Q&A button and feature through Zoom. And we'll go ahead and talk about them and help facilitate those questions with Brennan at the end. Okay. All right, Brennan, take it away.
Well, thank you, Edgar, and thank you to you as well as UC San Diego for giving me the opportunity to chat with your folks. I really appreciate it. I'm going to share some information on my screen now. If you give me 1 second to pull it up. There we go. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, again, thank you all for inviting me here. My name is Brennan Marcano. I am the CEO of the National GEM Consortium, and we're going to spend a couple minutes talking about GEM so that we could familiarize you with GEM, and as Edgar shared, then really open up the floor to questions around GEM so that at the end of the day, you have a strong baseline as to what the fellowship means, what the organization means, and what are all the possibilities available to you. So I always like to start off when talking about an organization by talking about the vision of GEM. And our vision is simple. We look towards a world that is better through scientific impact. We focus on this idea of science and scientific impact and innovation driving the world. And that can take many different shapes and forms as you think about what scientific impact represents to you. But at the end of the day, we are looking to advance the world and make it a better place through scientific impact. That is our ultimate vision for our entire organization, GEM. That vision gets underwritten, supported by our mission, which is really to empower all to achieve their fullest potential in STEM. And what that means from a model perspective is we understand that this idea, this concept of the idea, this concept of creativity and innovation has a couple of criteria that goes into it. Typically, you want the best minds who bring their academic rigor to the table, folks that are, in our sense, because we focus on STEM, committed to science, to bring those best minds that have a firm grasp and are committed and dedicated to advancing science to the table. But then we've added the criteria of diverse thoughts, because as all the research has shown, diverse groups outperform their homogeneous counterparts. And so we believe that by bringing diverse perspectives to the table, you're also adding to that criteria for innovation. And then finally, being in an environment that's nurturing, where you're allowed to make mistakes, allowed to learn and grow, etc. We believe that when you pull all of these criteria together, you're really rigging the pack for innovation. And so for us, we believe that GEM brings to the table best minds committed to science and bring in diverse perspectives as well to the table. And then we place them in nurturing environments. We place them in universities that are firmly committed to diversity, like UC San Diego. We place them at corporations that nurture diverse talent and include diverse talent, et cetera. And so, again, the model was, and this is just a visual version of what we represent, is really designed to say, if you bring really smart people from diverse backgrounds together, you're rigging the pack for creativity. And that's what our mission ultimately supports and the vision of scientific impact. So I keep saying we, so who is we exactly? Well, GEM is made up of, it's a consortium that's made up of about 130 of the top universities in the country. So all the Ivy Leagues, top 50 engineering schools, HBCUs, MSIs, HSIs, they've all been part of GEM for decades now. And on the flip side, I give you the short version. It's about 75 major corporations. I like to say all the top firms across all the STEM fields. And so if you're on the Valley tech side, you will see the Intels and the IBMs and the Googles and the Facebooks and the Apples, the usual cast of characters, the brand names that we know and love. But it is STEM. And so you will see activity across the entire STEM landscape. And so in pharma, you'll see the Mercks and the J&Js, Johnson and Johnsons. The majority of the Department of Energy National Labs are part of GEM. There are a couple of financial services in there. So again, if you look in the manufacturing side, you'll see the 3Ms and the Fords. It's STEM. And so you will get industries across, you'll get organizations across multiple industries. More importantly, again, not just that these folks all share that vision of scientific impact, but again, they believe that all of these institutions believe that one of the best ways to achieve that scientific impact is by creating high-performing, diverse groups. And that's really where GEM comes into the picture to support this model. And I just made sort of a note at the bottom. Again, I couldn't put all of the organizations on one slide. And so if you're really interested in seeing who are all the organizations that are part of GEM, you feel free to visit our website. And I think in the original email invitation, GEM's website was shared with everyone. But feel free to go to the site and look at all of our consortium members. So why GEM? What is the actual value proposition of participating in a GEM fellowship? I just want to share with you, first of all, there are many reasons why students apply for a GEM fellowship. I will highlight the three main ones that we've seen over the years. The first one is, you can pursue your master's and PhD in any STEM field for free. And I made that big and bold on purpose because it is free. And I ask you to read the fine print. There's no fine print at the bottom. It's not a catch. It is absolutely free. And so that is the beauty of the GEM Fellowship, which is the entire consortium is so dedicated towards advancing scientific impact and giving folks like yourselves, smart individuals with huge potential, the opportunity to be able to contribute to scientific impact. That we've created a model that ensures that you can pursue your master's and PhD in any STEM field for free, no strings attached. So that's usually the number one reason why individuals participate in the GEM Fellowship. There are no contracts signed. There's nothing of that nature. The second value proposition for GEM is we are actually one of the most prestigious STEM organizations in the country. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the CEO. The picture that you're looking at is actually 2 months ago, GEM received a presidential award from the White House for our impact in STEM. And the PASMM award is the highest award or honor you can get in the country in that specific lane for STEM. And so I always tell folks, if the White House and the administration acknowledges GEM's impact over the past 40-something years of our existence, then you can feel pretty sure and comfortable that it is an organization that is fairly prestigious. That's the short version of why we believe we are a prestigious organization. The longer version is there's actually a 4-decade-plus legacy of success stories associated with GEM. Currently, half of the female minority deans of engineering schools in the country are GEM alums, and a fair amount of their male counterparts as well. We have provosts and presidents of universities like President Daryl Pines over at the University of Maryland. We've had, by the way, many of them have been inducted into the National Academy of Engineering, which is also the highest award you can get in engineering in the country. We have GEM alums that are on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. We have a couple of them currently right now for some of their activity during the pandemic. Couple that with CEOs of their own entrepreneurial organizations, as well as senior representatives of industry. And you just have this long, long legacy of fairly successful individuals that carry that title of GEM Fellow and Alum. Ursula Burns, who is the former CEO and chair of Xerox Corporation, and one of the few African-American CEOs in the country back then, is a GEM alum. Reggie Van Lee, who's the Chief Transformation Officer over at the Carlyle Group, is a GEM alum. Sylvia Acevedo, who used to run Girl Scouts USA and was featured in Forbes magazine and is now on the board of Qualcomm, GEM alum. I actually can go on doing this for a while. There are a lot of very successful GEM alums, so I'm going to behave because I only have an hour to go over this presentation. Point being that there has been a track record of success for the organization. And so many folks want to join the GEM consortium and become a GEM fellow so that they can be a part of that community of success. Another reason why folks generally join GEM, and this is beyond GEM, this is why folks even actually pursue an advanced degree. That's because an advanced degree equals more money in your pockets. And so one of the things that folks don't necessarily realize, it's not as obvious, is for those that pursue a master's or PhD, you actually make a lot more money than if you stopped your education at the bachelor's level. I think the last iteration I saw of the calculation is you're talking about over $1 million more than at your bachelor's level. And so generally speaking, when I get a chance to chat with folks, when we do our grad labs, our getting ready for advanced degree lab workshops, making more money is usually a nice driver for wanting to continue their careers. And so we always highlight to folks the differences with degree attainment and financial attainment as well. So, these are sort of the three main areas. Again, there are a lot of other reasons why folks join GEM. That 45-year community as well is something that intrigues many individuals. If you think about it, there is a lack of diversity in STEM. We're very well aware of that. And generally speaking, individuals tend to migrate towards others that look like themselves when pursuing mentors. And so for underrepresented minorities, you usually face this barrier career-wise within STEM fields to find the right support system. Well, folks like being part of GEM because they basically walk in through the door and have 45 going on 46 years worth of a support system. They leverage the GEM community to be able to identify mentors, to identify sponsors, to identify friends. And GEM does many things to actually help nurture that interaction. Once you become a GEM fellow, we have virtual meetups every other Friday to allow fellows to meet with other fellows and alums and expand your network. We obviously have a LinkedIn group where individuals can connect with other fellows as well. And actually, we convene events, our biggest event being our September conference, where everyone converges into one location. That's fellows, alums, universities, and employers to be able to interact as an entire community. And so all of these touch points from a community perspective allow for individuals that are GEM fellows to be able to build and nurture that support system in place. So let's talk about how the process works. Well, GEM's fiscal year runs from July through June. And so our application process mimics that fiscal cycle. And so our application period starts July 1st. So you're in good time because the application cycle just started. The application cycle will go on from July through November. It typically ends around middle of November, just before Thanksgiving. We encourage students to fill out their application, obviously, as soon as possible, because what that allows us to do is do a little bit of early matchmaking with your applications when you submit them. And so we also encourage folks because if you wait too late, sometimes folks miss the deadline. So we encourage individuals to complete your application as soon as possible. And so if you go to the GEM website, you'll be able to see a link that goes off to applying for the GEM cycle. In November, after the application cycle closes, we then invite subject matter experts from industry and academia to come in and opine on your application. And they will give you a score on your application, because what they're looking for to see is that you are ready to pursue a GEM fellowship. And actually, this is, by the way, not uncommon. NSF GRFP does this as well. As a matter of fact, some of our judges are GRFP judges. In December, the selection period will start. So once we've identified individuals that are eligible for a GEM fellowship, we will then share your information with our universities and employers. And the way the fellowship works, by the way, in order for it to be free for you, the universities and employers actually come together in a marriage and financially support you. The employers are supporting you for a couple of reasons. Obviously, number one being, if you're coming from GEM, they recognize that you're a quality individual and they want you to come work for them somewhere down the road. And so they help sponsor you and send you to school, and they put some monies up in order to support you to go to school. And then the universities pick up the rest of the tab to create a full package of support for you throughout your entire master's and PhD. So again, this is not partial support. This is not 1 year's support. For a master's program, you will get a full 2 years of support for your entire master's program. And for your PhD, you will get your full 5 years of support for your PhD. After that selection period, and that selection period will run from December till usually around April. During that December-April time period is when employers will outreach to you to show their interest in sponsoring you. And so it almost becomes a sense of courtship. They're outreaching to you to say, we would like you to allow us to sponsor you. By getting sponsored by an employer, what it means is that, again, as I mentioned before, they're putting some monies towards financially paying for you to go to school. That money comes in the shape of $20,000. That's $4,000 towards tuition and $16,000 towards stipend. The rest of the money is, again, like I said, underwritten by the universities. The employers also, as part of their sponsorship, offer you an internship, a paid internship. And so if you're pursuing a master's degree, you will get 2 paid internships, the summer before you go into your master's program and the summer after your first year at the organization. Obviously, the organization is offering you an internship because they want to acquaint themselves with you, as well as give you an opportunity to learn about them and their culture and what it is like working with them, because ultimately they'd like you to come work for them when you're finished with school. And so it's kind of a nice deal to know that you're going to school while having in your back pocket an employer that wants to employ you when you're done. For PhD students, you will do an internship before you go into your PhD program. So you just do 1 internship because it's a little bit more difficult to pry you away from your advisors once you start your PhD program. Unless you're working on collaborative research. In other words, what you were doing at your sponsoring employer really correlates really well with your advisor's work, in which case you can go back and forth between institutions throughout your academic tenure. And we've had students that are doing that right now. In April, then, once an employer selects you and they've committed to the internship, etc., then universities will typically go in. You get to decide when you're filling out your application form, who are your top universities as well as your top employers. And so GEM spends a lot of time on fit, because we know you're smart. If you're applying for a GEM fellowship, we know you're smart students already. What we're really doing is trying to find where is the right fit for you within organizations and universities. And so a significant part of that fit equation will obviously be, what are your preferences? And so we work very hard to be able to identify, in other words, if you identify 3 of your top employers, those 3 will be the first 3 that see your application form, so that they get an opportunity to select you before we do what's called profile matching. If we don't get a successful connection with the employers of your choice, then we do what I just mentioned, which is profile matching. We look at your skill sets. We look at the needs of our employers within our database within the consortium, and we match you up with those current needs, so that at least we know we're putting you in an area where you're needed. And we also think that that is a good indicator of fit. Once that happens in our online, and this happens, by the way, in our online system called eGEM, we then flag to the universities that this is the list of students that have been identified as being supported by GEM employers. And then the universities can decide which one of you they would like to pick up the rest of the tab on. And again, same rules of engagement apply for universities. They want a vibrant, rich, diverse, and smart population of GEM fellows to be on their campus. And so they're usually very excited about interacting with GEM fellows as well. Usually, like I said, around April, May time period, the selection period will end, because we then have 1 to 2 months to prep for the new cycle, but also because in June, internships start. And so by the end of May, start of June time period, you'll be heading over to your sponsored employer, where you'll be able to start your internship and build that relationship. And by the way, that's another important part of this process, which is we always encourage everyone, just like we said, to maximize that GEM fellowship network. When you're at your employer as well, don't treat that internship as a point in time relationship. Treat it as the start of a long-term relationship with that employer. As young people starting up your careers, etc., having that network of individuals that are supportive of you is very, very important. And so we work with you and the employers to be able to help nurture that relationship. I just wanted to just quickly touch on why folks don't apply to grad school, because we do go out and chat with individuals to educate them on the importance of pursuing an advanced degree. And so I always like to mention why folks don't apply, because if that's one of your current roadblocks, I want to be able to eradicate it. And so one of the things that we typically see around why folks don't apply for grad school is, number one, they believe that a PhD will only allow them to teach, to become a professor. And that is not the case. If you have a PhD, you are now a subject matter expert, which actually means the world is yours. You can do anything you want with your PhD. And of course, the second one is usually a financial burden. For many of the folks, they've just successfully completed their undergrad, and it was a financial struggle to do that. And so when we walk into the room and say, well, here's the good news, you can continue the journey for free, which is why I made sure I emphasize that free part. It usually eradicates the second barrier that we see associated with pursuing an advanced degree. And so I think between that and then talking about the pros of more money, generally speaking, we see most people will go on and pursue a degree. So if any of your doubts were in those areas, please, I want to make sure that you look beyond that, because the opportunities that are available to you when you pursue an advanced degree are endless. And so at this point in time, because I think I've hit the half-hour mark on this, I want to make sure that we open up the floor for questions, to talk about the GEM model, to really make sure that you have a good baseline on what it means to apply for a GEM fellowship. How do we do, Edgar?
We're doing good. Thank you, Brandon, for such informative slides and all the information. And again, super excited to partner every year with the GEM Fellowship as one of the universities that is part of the consortium. And I myself, as the main representative for UC San Diego, I'm really excited to always work with you guys. So at this point, I'd like to open, as you said, the floor for questions. Please put them in the Q&A. I'll help facilitate them and we'll get started. There's a couple of people from GEM too in the room, so maybe if they want to participate in answering the questions, Brennan, I think Marcus is at some point. Marcus or Joanne, I think I saw them.
Marcus and Joanne are here. Absolutely. Those are the smart people. We definitely want them in here.
Yeah, so if they want to participate, please feel free to chime in as well. All right, should we stop sharing maybe so they can
Oh,
see?
sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Perfect. Okay. So there's a question here in the Q&A. First one that I see here is, can Daca students apply?
So GEM is for US citizens and green card holders. As long as you fit that criteria, you can apply for a GEM fellowship.
Okay, thank you. How can one make themselves a more competitive applicant for GEM?
So that's a tricky question. And here's the reason why I say it's a tricky question. A lot of what we do at GEM is around fit. And so I think that if you are a student that is dedicated towards advancing your education in STEM, you should apply for GEM, because your resume, your makeup as an individual may align really well with what one of our consortium companies are interested in. And so the idea of competitive is a tricky one for GEM because everybody's smart in GEM. A lot of our energies are really spent on finding where is the right environment for you. Outside of just that common one, the other part is, you're actually filling out an application form. And so if you look at the GEM application form, you'll see that it looks, there's a lot of stuff that's very similar to filling out your college application form. There's a statement of purpose, etc. And so the same rules apply around filling out your college application form that will apply for the GEM forms. And obviously, because there are universities on the other end that are going to be looking at it.
Thank you, Brandon. The next question, someone is asking if they need to be in engineering or computer science programs to be eligible for that fellowship. I think you made that clear at the beginning, but if you want to just restate it, it's open to all STEM.
So it's all of STEM, So as long as you're pursuing a STEM degree, you can apply for a GEM fellowship.
Awesome. How do we find companies that are partnered with GEM? I'll go ahead and put the link, but maybe if you want to touch on that, Brendan, while I look for the link really quickly.
Sure. So if you go to the website, gemfellowship.org, which I believe, Edgar, that's what you're sharing, folks.
Yes, I just shared the employer's link.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I was just going to say that. Yeah, exactly. That's the list of, you follow that link and you see the list of employers, and equally on the site, there's a list of the university. So when I talked about the list of universities and employers, you'll see the robust list of members of the consortium.
I know you mentioned a couple, well, I think you mentioned Qualcomm, for example, which is headquartered in San Diego, or at least is one of the main ones that is in San Diego. Do you know any of the top of your head that are also in San Diego? Do you mind, a student is asking if there are any local in San Diego, or also that relocation might be required. Sometimes you do have to relocate, right? And go to different places in the country, but.
So keep in mind that the employers are distributed throughout the country. And if you are being supported by an employer, and obviously it depends on the size of the employer, they will provide transportation, they'll provide assistance in relocating you for the internship. You're not sort of on your own when doing that. And so there's a couple of different flavors. It's a little bit of a tough question to answer, because in the midst of COVID, we've seen also a rise of virtual internships as well. And so I think I would not be deterred by geography around doing a GEM fellowship, because if the companies are interested in you, they will bring you out there. And yes, we have companies in San Diego, but again, I would encourage you to check the list of employers to see which companies you'd be interested in.
All right, this is another question. Can I apply as an undergrad during my senior year, or do I have to have my bachelor's degree ready?
So generally, folks will apply in their senior year as an undergrad, because by the time the fellowship starts, which is the following year, you'll be in the process of going to grad school. So for folks applying right now, you would have just completed your senior year and getting ready to go to grad school in September.
Right. What GPA range does GEM accept? How can an applicant make up for a lower GPA, maybe than what it's maybe not required, but a lower GPA?
I think Joanne just sent something in the chat there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But for the GPA question, you have to have over a 2.8 is the GEM requirement.
For masters. For PhD,
masters.
3.0.
There we go. See, that's why the smart folks are on the call, Edgar. So yes, 2.8 for masters, 3.0 for PhD. But again, keep in mind, if you're within that range, in other words, if you're a master's student with a 2.9, you are within GEM's range. Don't be deterred, because it's about fit.
Absolutely. Joanne, do you mind quickly just introducing yourself as well, just so people can identify you and if they have questions?
Yeah, so I'm not able to get on camera currently, but my name is Joanne Ransom. I'm the programs manager here at the National GEM Consortium. So those programs that Brennan was mentioning earlier, the Getting Ready for Advanced Degrees Laboratory, that's the main aspect of programs here. If you ever want to hear about, some other some other institutions, or simply how to submit a really great application to those institutions, definitely check out the Grad Lab calendar. All this information can be found on our gemfellowship.org website. If you need to follow up with me, my email is jransom, ransom @gemfellowship.org.
Thank you, Joanne. I remember seeing a list of the areas or fields or majors that were accepted under. Do you remember off the top of your head if psychology or other cognitive science that sometimes are considered social sciences or within other fields more broadly, are they also considered STEM for GEM?
So I'm gonna
go ahead,
Joanne.
No, so I was going to say, especially in today's climate with institutions continually updating their degree audits to reflect STEM, GEM's rule is as long as it says Masters of Science and the degree is STEM related, GEM will most likely support it, but the institution also has to be willing to support you as a GEM fellow under that audit as well. So if it's a Master's of Art, you can't be considered a GEM fellow, but if it's a Master's of Science and psychodynamics or something of the sort, that is STEM related. So you have to really, talk to your advisor or talk to the GEM rep at that school to figure out if it really is a STEM related degree or if it's not.
Thank you, Joanne. Another question from one of our audience is, will potential employer partners with the GEM Fellowship require you to take the GRE, even if the programs that you're applying, the graduate programs you're applying, do not require them?
Hey, Edgar, I think Marcus wants to be added as a panelist, if you can.
Marcus, I think I try. Let me go ahead and try again. I tried a couple of times, but I don't know if there we go. Oh, there we go. Are you able to see the?
There he is.
Great, Marcus. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, no problem. I just wanted to add a little bit to what Joanne had mentioned. it's also, we want the degrees to be conferred by the College of Engineering or the schools of arts and sciences. So that's really how we define if a school, if a degree is eligible for a GEM fellowship, it has to be conferred by the College of Engineering or schools in arts and sciences. And typically, we do not sponsor social sciences. So we do life sciences, physical sciences, but usually GEM will not sponsor any other social sciences.
Thank you, Marcus. Do you mind introducing really quickly in your role in GEM as well, just so people can identify?
Absolutely. I'm at GEM, I'm the Executive Director of Client Relations. And so all that means is I'm never at home. What we do is at Client Relations, we make sure that all of our clients from the universities to employers, as well as the students, we're here to support and make sure they have a fantastic experience with GEM. So that's what we do.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yep, no problem. Good to see you, Edgar.
See you too. All right. Let me see. Someone is asking, how competitive is the GEM Fellowship? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you can share in terms of a number of applicants and people who are awarded the fellowship. I know that GEM is always looking for more people to apply. So I don't know if you can touch a little bit on that, any of you.
Yeah, again, it's a tricky question because it's really about fit. And so the competitive part is, like, obviously it's a fellowship, so there's some competitive aspect of it, but we always discourage students to downplay themselves and pull themselves out of contention, because the companies are really looking for individuals that fit well with their culture and what they're ultimately trying to achieve, as well as what research they're pursuing as well. So I would strongly suggest that you at least not deter your own self by being worried about the competitiveness of GEM. I would just say apply.
Dr. Huggins loves to say, let the institutions and companies tell you no, don't tell yourself no.
You're going to just one-up me by giving one of Marcus's comments?
Hey, it's good commentary.
Well said, well said. I couldn't have said it even better.
Okay, I'm gonna continue inviting people to enter their questions. I think Joanne and Marcus and Brennan, you can see the questions also in the Q&A section. So feel free to, if there's one that you want to talk about.
I was looking in the chat section, sorry. Okay.
Is the internship you do with the employer binding, as in you have to work there after you get your degree?
It is not binding. And so that's one of the things that I was sharing earlier about the GEM process. Again, they're basically advertising to you. They want you to see that they're trying to convince you that their environment is an appropriate environment for you to ultimately work in. But there is no contract and no binding of it. And that actually works in a couple of ways, because, you know, the entire GEM consortium generally has a holistic view on this, which is if we are able to support the best and brightest folks and create that diversity, then everyone benefits. Obviously, any employer that specifically sponsors you, it's because they're interested in you, but you are not contractually bound. The hope is that after the internships, that they would have done enough for you to rethink the possibility of working with them, but you don't have to work with them.
Right.
I saw a question about can you apply for the PhD without the master's? Yes, yes, you absolutely can. Make sure you're checking also with the institution, because some institutions will require that you have obtained your master's before the PhD program. Some PhD programs actually prefer if you get your master's first, but for pertaining to GEM, you don't have to have your master's before applying to a PhD program, but I would strongly check with the program first because they may have, some research requirements that you may have had to fulfill before you apply or something of the sort. But definitely just check with the institution first. But no, you don't have to have the master's first. As far as the question that just came through about if we're fit or the list, yes. So I think I was communicating in the chat, but nobody could see. On the gemfellowship.org website, under employers, there is a entire list of all of our GEM member employers. And to the right of that list, there is topics or subject matters that each of those companies are willing to sponsor or looking to sponsor. If you are a bio major and that company is looking for computer science, not saying don't still list them, but you only have 3 companies to list on your application. So I will list companies that align with my research, my degree audit, but also companies that I want to work for too. So look for both companies that align with your degree audit as well as your long-term career goals.
Thank you, Joanna. Also, you could see there's a similar list under universities. You could also see the universities that are university members, and there's a list of contacts as well for that list where you can find who the main contact for that university that is part of the GEM consortium, and you can find the contact information there.
I see another question about how does a university become a GEM member? Those are the questions that we love to see. Just outreach to the money man on the phone, Dr. Marcus Huggins at client_relations, or you can email info@GEM Fellowship, letting us know what degree, what school it is. If they have PhD degree audits, that is the one requirement that they must have PhD STEM degree audits. And then we can get the conversation started with our client relation team and the member services.
I don't know if this is a good time to talk about also I don't know if the annual meeting is open to anyone to attend, to any students that might be interested in the GEM Fellowship, but is it something that you guys promote, or maybe talking about the grad labs, Joanne, as well, just to see if there's folks that will be interested in maybe attending a virtual or an in-person grad lab?
Yeah, so our annual conference is this September. It will run from September 8th through September 10th. If you are seeking to go to graduate school, I would probably say the most important day to you would be Saturday. Saturday is absolutely free for students. We will be in Phoenix, Arizona, however. So, if you are able to get there, please do come join us. You can hear about, why graduate school / the importance of continuing your graduate education. You'll hear how to submit a very competitive application. You'll also hear funding opportunities, not only through the GEM Fellowship, but outside entities as well. And then you'll hear directly from some current GEM Fellows and graduate students that are undergoing the journey that we are trying to convince you all to go through. So that is the Getting Ready for the Advanced Degrees Laboratory. It's our first grad lab of the season. It will kick off Saturday, September 10th at 10 o'clock. If you are in the Phoenix area, please connect with us via info@GEM Fellowship, and I can send you those details. Currently, we don't have any grad lab scheduled for virtual for this season. The past 2 years we've been virtual, so we're seeing clients want to go back in person. However, if you do go to the gemfellowship.org and then you go to events, there is a full list of upcoming grad labs for this fall. As the season continues, you'll see more grad labs come on that calendar. Even if you can't attend, register so you receive the information so that those institutions still can outreach you and find you if you aren't able to attend. Yeah.
Hey, Joanne, I know you talked about the grad lab at the conference, but there's also regional grad labs. Are there any occurring in the San Diego region?
So great question, Brennan. So we are trying to go back to Southern California. We actually have been trying to get a meeting set up with our Southern Cal reps. There is the opportunity that UCLA is looking to host. The last we were in Southern Cal was January of 2020, right before COVID hit, and Edgar actually hosted that one.
Oh.
So yeah,
thank you, Edgar.
We're looking to come back.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we get UCLA or maybe our campus or some other campus in Southern California to host it and have one nearby. To our students who are might be interested in the conference, I know that some of you who are in this call and this webinar might be part of a structured program that prepares you for grad school in your institution, whether that is UC San Diego or another UC campus or another school in California. Make sure to ask your coordinator or your director if they have any funding for attending conferences. And if they do, maybe that's something that you could use to go to the conference in Phoenix this year. So yeah. Okay, let me see. Any other questions in the chat? Someone asked, what does early consideration mean in regards to the application process?
So I kind of alluded to that when I was giving the presentation, which is if you submit your application early, we start the matchmaking process fairly early. And so for those applications that are fully completed, Dr. Huggins and his team will start socializing those individuals with some of the companies. So it just gets you to be in front of the company sooner. Is that what you were going to say, Joanne? Because I saw you were about to come off the speaker.
Yeah, same thing.
In regards to another question, can you pair another fellowship with the GEM fellowship? I know this is sometimes a question that even comes up to university reps and members. Sometimes when people apply for PhDs or doctoral programs where fellowships are more common within the admissions package for those students, how does the GEM fellowship in general sort of work with the university or other fellowships in this case to yeah, how does it work together? I guess that was the question.
So great question. That's the super amazing thing about the GEM fellowship. It is one of the very few fellowships that is stackable. So that means that if you are offered outside monies, you can also include the GEM fellowships with that money. However, other organizations may not be stackable. So that means NSF. I know NSF is not stackable. If you get NSF, you can't combine it with GEM. So you have to exhaust those NSF funds first before the GEM fellowship funds can kick in. So GEM is stackable. Other entities may not be. You just have to check with them first before you utilize the funds.
But the
Marcus?
I was just going to add to that. You could defer our funds, but we also like for you to defer your funds anyway, because by deferring it while you exhaust all your other funds, GEM can be used for, there may be conferences that you need to go to. There may be equipment you might need to buy. There's a lot of more flexibility with the GEM funding. So I know when I was 22, 23, 24 years old, when I knew I had $20,000 out there, $16,000 out there, I wanted it, and I wanted it now. But if you can hold on a little bit, it will serve you better towards the end when you're getting closer to graduation. So I always encourage GEM fellows to use the money when needed, not just because it's there.
Yep. And Edgar, actually, the question that you raised around the PhD programs is also a good one, because we have seen instances where advisors deter students from taking the GEM fellowship because they tell them, well, I can already fully fund you. You don't need the GEM fellowship. And I think that's probably true financially on the university side. But what it does is it excludes the student from being part of GEM and having the 40 something years worth of support and all the training and the mentoring, et cetera, that could take place. And so it does the student an injustice when they frame this narrative that, you know, it's not just the check part of it. And, you know, the reason why we won the presidential award wasn't because we cut checks. It's because of what we've been able to curate as a community to be able to make real scientific impact. And so oftentimes we have to spend time educating faculty and advisors on that as well.
Right. Any other questions from our audience? I'll give you guys a few more seconds to type in any questions. And if we don't have any other coming in, I'll invite you to check out the GEM Fellowship website again for more information. There's one question, so we can still participate in GEM benefits while not getting the funding for one reason or another. So can we still participate in GEM benefits while not getting the funding for one reason or another?
You have to be a GEM fellow, but we have 3 different flavors of a GEM fellowship. So the one that Brennan outlined was the employer fellow. And so that's when you get an internship with one of our employer sponsors, you get the funding, and you'll become part of our GEM community as a GEM employer fellow. We also have the GEM University Fellow. Those are master's only students, and it's tuition only. There's no stipend attached to that. However, that still includes you in the GEM community. So you get all the benefits that a GEM employer fellow receives. It's just you don't receive an internship and a stipend. And then finally, we have the GEM Associate Fellows. And those are students that get tuition, fees, and stipend. And they can be a combination of master's or PhD. However, those are the students, those students also get all the benefits and the privileges. But in order to participate in all the things that Brennan mentioned, the private LinkedIn groups, the meetups that we have every other week, the I-Corps program, all the stuff that makes you a GEM fellow, you have to be one of those distinction of one of those 3. So we encourage you though to apply every year until you get a GEM fellowship, because we do have students that apply multiple years and then they finally get it. But once a GEM fellow, always a GEM fellow. So until you graduate, then you graduate to GEM alum, and then you will get job postings and things of that nature. So you're always attached to GEM once you get a GEM fellowship. So I encourage you to apply every year until you get it. Hopefully that answered the question.
All right. Well, at this point, I'd like to conclude the webinar and thank all of the attendees, and also thank the National GEM Consortium, Brennan, Marcus, Joanne, and the rest of the team that were involved in planning and coordinating this webinar, for your enthusiasm and always, willingness to participate in these kinds of sessions with our students. To our students, thank you so much. Continue to take advantage of the virtual grad prep series at UC San Diego and the Office of Division of Graduate Education has prepared for you for the rest of this week and next week. We'll see you on Monday for those who are there. For Brennan, Joanne, and Marcus, can you stick around for a few minutes after we have all of our attendees are out of the room? Thank you so much, everyone.